Rock bottom moments don't look the same for everyone. Mine was standing on the scales and weighing 165 kilos or 365 pounds and realizing, what on earth have I become? Rock bottom moments don't look the same for everyone. Mine was weighing 165 kilos, being on a plane, and having to ask for a bigger seatbelt. Maybe your rock bottom moment's different, but the feeling is the same. So my life at 365 pounds or 165 kilos was an absolute joke. I was depressed, I was anxious, I was constantly overthinking stuff. I would be secluded, I would actively avoid photos, I would actively avoid mirrors, and it was just not a very nice place to be mentally or physically, because you got to understand, I would walk down the road and I would be out of breath. I could not fit into normal clothes. That's how big I was. I had two pairs of trousers that would fit me. God's honest truth. And one of my biggest fears was, if something happened to my trousers, what on earth am I going to fit into? As a result, I just wore shorts or baggy joggers, tracksuit bottoms, and that was my dress code. I did not look good in shirts because everything would be tight around the mid area, and that was it. That was my life. That was my reality that I was living day to day. Couple that with, I'm in my 30s, I'm 31, 32 at that time, and financially broke, mentally broken, physically in the worst shape of my life. And you think, how bad can it get? And you, it's, people don't understand, when you're that way, you actively avoid family gatherings because people are going to just ask, you've gone big. What aren't you dieting? Man, I've tried dieting for 2 days, and the third day I just gave up because something bad happened in the day, something upset me, and I started eating emotionally. And yeah, I could not stick to a plan for more than 2 days. And then that creates issues of its own because you're binging now. You're emotionally eating. So anything that upsets you, the first thing that you do is get upset and go to your comfort spot, which is normally the pantry or the food cupboard, and you start binging. And then you realize, what the hell have I got myself into? So I'm trying to lose weight, but I can't lose weight because I can't stick to a plan. And it turns into a vicious mental cycle. And it's torture, guys. So, the turning point of how does one actually change their life? For me, I was walking to work. Had started working at McDonald's because I just needed some cash to stabilize me. And I thought, shift work, I can choose my shifts and build a business on the side. And it was way below my potential. I am not looking down on anyone that works at McDonald's. I have the highest respect for them. But for my skill set, for where I wanted to be in life, I was not about to settle for that. And I had a panic attack walking to work. I cried, and you gotta understand, I'm 6'1", 365 pounds, 165 kilos, and I'm crying and I'm thinking, when is this gonna end? What, like, I can't make sense of this. I genuinely could not make sense of, why is this happening? Why is God putting me through this? And it was that moment, and something else happened. I made it to my shift and started working a couple of hours in. And I had this conversation with a work colleague there. And he said, and he knew I was upset. And he goes, why are you here? Why are you here? I can just tell that you don't want to be here. Why are you here? And God's honest truth, in that moment, I felt this small. I felt this small. And I said, you're right. Why am I torturing myself? I hate this place where I am at. Mentally, physically, literally, I hate working here. But I'm just doing this because I've accepted that I can't change. And it was in that moment I decided, you know what, enough is enough. And I am going to turn my life around. I walked into the manager's office mid shift and I said, I'm quitting. And she was taken aback and she was like quitting, are you gonna give your notice, working your notice because you've got holidays? And I said, I don't care, you can keep my holidays, I don't need holiday pay. I'm out. Thank you for the opportunity. And I walked out. I had zero job prospects. I had nothing lined up. But it was that comment that I'm so grateful for that made me think, why are you tolerating this? Just change. And that's exactly what I did. Because in that moment, it was a turning point. And I said, I am never, ever going to be in this position again. Never again will this happen. And from there, that's how my rebuild started. And a week later, I had interviews lined up and I accepted my first role at a financial services company because I could sell and I knew I had previous industry experience in that and I can sell. But I had to confront that fear that no matter what happens, I am never going back to that position again. So the real question is, what happens when you hit rock bottom? And the answer is everything positive. Because whether it's the universe, whether it's God, once a person hits rock bottom, the only way is up because they can't go down any further. So the only way now is up. And it was that comment and me trusting in the process that enough is enough and I am never ever going to accept this position in life again. I decided to take the plunge and change. Was it difficult? Yeah. Was it easy? No. But possible? Of course. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here speaking to you. So let's get to the practical steps of how do you actually manage that change. Your first step. Your first step is of relief that you know what? You've accepted that things are going to change, and then you've got to come up with a plan, no matter how imperfect it is. For me, it was a very simple plan of taking my control of my health, which was I went online, went to bodybuilding.com, I still remember this, and downloaded a very basic PPL workout, which was push pull legs. And I said, I can commit to doing that. Joined JD Gyms, and that was it. Committed to doing 10,000 steps a day. No matter whether I was scared, whether I was upset, that was going to get done because I had placed those boundaries with my own self that I wasn't going to lose this now. It was the only way is through. No matter how long it takes, I am not going back to that position again. I am never ever going to feel that hopeless. And that was it. Slowly, I started committing. I started seeing results. My confidence boosted. And then I just applied that simple process, that simple methodology, keep it simple, stupid, to every other part of my life that I wanted to improve. And by the grace of God, I lost 35 kilos or 80 pounds. I've kept it off. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm bloody well far enough from where I want it, where I don't want to be. You know what I mean? So it's progress. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to accept progress every single day and take progress for what it is. Growth, by its very nature, is sometimes painful, but you need that in order for you to survive, in order for you to thrive. You need it. And this is how unglamorous the rebuild process is. It's that simple. You have a plan, It's going to be very imperfect, but you execute on that plan, because an imperfect plan is better than having no plan. And you decide, no matter what happens, this is going to get done. So I'm going to end with this. Rock bottom isn't the end. It's the start of a beautiful beginning. But you have to put effort in order for it to be a beautiful ending. If you're ready to take your first step and to build the life of your dreams, join the movement. Let's do this together. Thank you for watching.